In this AI boom, the smartest way to win might be to never bet on which AI chip comes out on top. Wolfspeed of the United States and LITEON of Taiwan have just announced a partnership on 800-volt DC power for AI data centers. To me, this news perfectly captures LITEON's strategy. Stand in the one place where you profit no matter who wins. So where exactly is that place? That's what we're digging into today. Hello everyone, I'm Tai, with 31 years in the semiconductor industry. Today, I'm covering the strategic power partnership between Wolfspeed and LITEON. By the end of this video, you'll understand what's happening right now with power inside AI data centers, why this Taiwanese company LITEON deserves your attention, and the investment trap that hides inside every fast-growing market. As always, let's start by turning this into a familiar story. Imagine a town with a huge district of food factories. The district is booming. Kitchen facilities keep multiplying, and the amount of water they use has swollen to many times what it was just a few years ago. Until now, the district has received its water through a large bundle of thin, low-pressure pipes. Each pipe can only carry a small amount, but as long as demand stayed modest, that setup caused no problems at all. But once water use grows by an order of magnitude, the story changes. With thin pipes, the water that leaks away in transit becomes too big to ignore. The number of pipes balloons, material costs pile up, and the space under the floor turns into a jungle of plumbing. The way the water is delivered can no longer keep up with the amount that needs delivering. So here comes the solution. Apply much higher pressure and send everything through a single thick trunk line. Raise the pressure and you lose less water while moving the same volume, and you save on piping material too. But there is one big condition. You need a special valve, one that can withstand that high pressure and control the flow precisely without leaking a drop. Today's news is the story of a famed maker of those high-pressure valves joining hands with the contractor that handles the plumbing for the entire district. Now, let's look at how this simplified story is actually unfolding on the ground in the real industry. On August 6th, Wolfspeed of the United States and Taiwan's LITEON technology announced a strategic partnership on 800-volt direct current, so-called 800 VDC, power solutions for next-generation AI data centers. Wolfspeed is a major maker of silicon carbide, or SiC, power semiconductors. LITEON is one of Taiwan's leading power supply manufacturers. Here's what the deal covers. LITEON's 800 VDC power sidecars and its power supply units for compute racks will adopt Wolfspeed's SiC MOSFETs, a type of power semiconductor. And here's what stands out. The qualification of Wolfspeed's SiC technology on LITEON's power platforms is already complete. This is not an announcement about a concept, it's a partnership on the verge of real deployment. Behind all this is the severe power situation inside AI data centers. As GPU racks consume ever more electricity, the industry is moving power delivery from the traditional 54-volt systems to 800-volt DC. Raising the voltage cuts losses in the wiring, reduces the amount of copper needed, and lifts power density. It's a major shift in architecture, pushing the voltage up more than tenfold in a single move. It's exactly the high-pressure trunk line story from earlier. The target here is power systems for hyperscalers, the companies operating massive AI computing infrastructure, with the possibility of expanding to multiple cloud providers' platforms in the future. Wolfspeed says it will leverage its manufacturing base, built on 200mm SiC wafers, to provide volume production capacity and stability across the supply chain. Now, here's the real point of today's video. This news tends to be told as the fresh start of a newly restructured Wolfspeed, but what caught my eye is the LITEON side of the deal. In fact, just yesterday, I covered LITEON's investment in DenseLight, an optical semiconductor company. Covering the same company 2 days in a row is no coincidence. It's because LITEON is expanding into power, cooling, and optical communications all at once. You may still think of LITEON as a company that makes power supplies for PCs and servers, but today it is transforming from a seller of standalone power components into a systems company that manages power and heat across the entire AI rack. design the power, backup, cooling, and control as one integrated package, get qualified into a customer's AI rack, and you become very hard to replace. The numbers back this up. In the second quarter of 2026, the cloud and AIoT segment accounted for 55% of revenue, while company-wide gross margin reached 27.2% and operating margin 15.6%, both record highs. The segment's share of revenue climbed from 32% in the first half of 2022 to 54% in the first half of 2026. This is the result of remaking the revenue mix itself, moving from low-margin legacy products to high-value AI power systems. And here's my take. LITEON doesn't need to guess whether NVIDIA wins, AMD gains ground, or custom chips take off. Whichever semiconductor gets chosen, if it consumes massive amounts of power, it needs a power supply. What's more, as power density per rack keeps climbing, LITEON's list of things to sell only grows. High-output power supplies, battery backup units, power distribution, liquid cooling, monitoring systems. The structure itself works in LITEON's favor. What makes it even stronger is that LITEON can load new products onto sales channels it already has with hyperscalers. The heavy investment it leaves to partners, Wolfspeed for SiC, DenseLight for optics, using their technology and production capacity. Secure the customers and the revenue first, then keep adding to that channel. That is a far safer way to grow than building a factory first and waiting for orders to come. But there is a lesson we must not forget, and it comes from none other than Wolfspeed itself, today's partner. In 2024, Wolfspeed was the world leader in the SiC substrate market with a 33.7% share. Even so, in June 2025, it filed for Chapter 11, the U.S. corporate restructuring process. It cut roughly $4.6 billion of debt and completed its restructuring in September of that same year. So why did the number one player struggle? Not because it lacked technology, and not because the market vanished. It front-loaded massive capital investment, betting on EV demand. Then the demand ramped up slower than expected, and prices fell as well. Chinese-made 6-inch SiC wafers have reportedly dropped to around $500, while comparable Western products are said to cost over $1,500. A market growing and a company profiting from its investment in that market are two entirely different things. That lesson applies squarely to LITEON as well. The company is raising its 2026 capital spending to 18 billion Taiwan dollars and plans to invest $919 million in McKinney, Texas, to build an AI infrastructure manufacturing site. As the scale of investment grows, LITEON shoulders the same risks of demand forecasts and fixed costs. The key, as I see it, is whether it can expand capacity step by step, confirming customer qualifications and actual orders along the way. Let me wrap up. Wolfspeed and LITEON have partnered on 800 VDC power, and the high-voltage shift in AI data centers is now moving forward in earnest. LITEON's strength is that it is not building factories on the AI dream alone. It already has profits and customers in the power business today. And that is exactly why, even with AI demand this strong, it must not break the golden sequence. Earn first, then use that cash to take the next step. That, I believe, is where LITEON's real battle lies. That's all for today. I'll keep bringing you semiconductor news and analysis. So if you found this useful, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. This has been Ty on Semiconductor News Decoded.